Last week we thought Netflix was buying WBD, but Paramount's like not so fast. Looks like they've gone after the shareholders and they've offered a significantly more amount of money for WBD than Netflix is, and now this whole thing is being stalled.
It is being stalled. Here's what's interesting about this is that the Warner people are super quiet on this because they don't want this deal. They do not want to sell to Skydance Paramount. So then Skydance is fully aware of this. That's why they're going directly to the shareholders. That still might not work. We still have this idea that they can just buy up all the shares. Like realistically, if the shareholders believe that it's not in the best interest of the company, like the higher money deal doesn't always win. What you're seeing a lot of is Tim Scott's a useless bag of dicks, but he's out in Congress right now talking about how it's an unfair deal if Netflix curbs Warner, right? And he's not wrong in that regard. No. The problem is it's the same thing. It's the same thing as if Paramount picks it up too. There's no difference. Right, one is a bigger streamer, the other is a player in the theater game, and they want the whole thing. Netflix just wants Warner Brothers. That's still Zaslav's plan, is to spin off, because he knows there's, and I think this is the thing that they're trying. Zaslav knows there is more money in a spin-off than even what the full companies, because now you're talking about two companies value with a higher value. So Zaslav said, no, we're going to get.
I actually got the numbers here. So Netflix is offering $82.7 billion, mostly cash, for WBD, but it excludes the cable stations.
$27 a share.
Yeah, and Paramount has made a higher all-cash bid of $108.4 billion, which includes the cable's TV stations. It's heavily leveraged with $54 billion in debt and funding from foreign sovereign wealth funds, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, and of course, one Jared Kushner. So if you're wondering who the Trump administration is going to favor, would be Paramount.
Which is this thing is the shareholders, I think, realize this is why they're coming out for it, because they really want CNN. They really want. I think they're overvaluing the value of CNN, because once the Trump fan base owns it, in terms of another Fox News, all the people that actually watch CNN are going to stop watching CNN. People are stopped watching CNN anyway. It's just old people anyway. So but that's the thing, is I think that Zaslav, who favors Netflix, is going to try to talk Sharon, saying, look, we're going to get more money when we spin this thing off. Like these are going to be two separate companies, and we're going to get more than, which is why Paramount Skydance is pushing so hard for this. The problem is now the administration is saying that they might just poo-poo the deal altogether, which they could also poo-poo the deal if they both the big excuse me, I'm trying to think how to word this. Hollywood doesn't want either. Right? The people in the industry don't want either of these companies taking over Warner. They want Warner to remain independent. And that's still a possibility that happens. It's possible that this whole thing gets stalled too much and these deals die. It wouldn't be the first time. We all thought that Sinclair and Tribune Company was going to happen, and it faltered. So it's not crazy to think that nothing happens out of all this. My money is not with that. But the fact that Warner's, it's going to be on Zaslav to convince the shareholders that the Skydance deal is not right for them. And the fact that no one has said anything since, and there's a right of refusal coming up first week of January, the fact that nothing has been said since leads me to believe that the Ellisons are still going to get fucked out of this thing in the long run. But that being said, I don't know. This is like a lot of the top people, like you read a lot of the big names in the industry, the film industry, they're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And you read a lot of the people on the Washington side, and they're like, I don't know what's going to happen. The problem is the economy's in the shitter, and a lot of the right is super unpopular right now with independence. And there's like a lot of stuff going on. And like, they might have a lot more important shit to worry about in 2026 than major media deals. So it's super questionable to see where this thing winds up. My money still goes with Netflix. I do think that's kind of winds up happening, mainly because I think Zaslav is going to try to sell the shareholders because there's more money for us to be made after the spinoff, and Paramount doesn't want the spinoff. They want the whole thing.
All right, JD, we're going to close on this, and it's kind of a downer. I sent you this. I texted you before the show that we might have some bad news, and we do have some bad news. I'm sad to report that Rob Reiner. He played Meathead on All in the Family. He was the director of The Princess Bride, of course, Spinal Tap, the latest Spinal Tap, the sequel that had just come out. He actually had a really great podcast going over the JFK assassination, where he actually names who killed him. Like, I don't
Really?
know. I don't think he could hold up in court, but yeah, he did. Him and Soledad O'Brien did a whole series, like a 10-part series. But
No
yeah,
shit. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. He's very convincing. Obviously, he's a great storyteller. One of the greatest
Oh yeah.
storytellers that we've ever had. But yeah, man, super sad. Rob Reiner, dead in his home. Says legendary actor, director, and actor who rose to prominence, All in the Family, and went on to a classic Spinal Tap, Stand by Me, of course. Yep. Princess Bride was found dead in his home alongside his wife. So more information's coming out, but his dad just recently died within the last couple of years. But it's a crazy story. It looks like, hold on, I think it was in the chat. Transferring Heat said Rob Reiner's found out an apparent homicide. Crazy story. Yeah, it's just breaking.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love Rob Reiner. He's fantastic.
Too. Me too. Stand by Me is one of those movies that I watched as a little kid on HBO that just man, it touched me in a lot of ways. Just like it's such a template for like a lot of what the stuff that I enjoy writing, and it's Stephen King story, so of course I love that. But just he was such an amazing filmmaker. Like The Princess Bride is my wife and I's movie. That's like our
Yeah,
thing, and
I love that movie.
such a good film. He was so talented and so funny, and imagine living this much life and to get it taken from you violently. It's not it's a shame. It's a
Yeah,
shame.
shame. Dude, I was on HBO Max just, I think it was yesterday, and I saw that the new Spinal Tap movie was out on HBO Max. I was like, oh, you know what? Fuck, it's time. I need to give this a real shot. I did not want to watch it because I'm like, who does a sequel 40 years after the fact and it's still good? Well, there was a new Beverly Hills Cop recently that turned out was really good. Okay, so I'm like, maybe I will give Spinal Tap 2 a shot. I have not yet, but I'm gonna now. I have to, because we just lost one of the great storytellers of our time, in Rob Reiner. So, man, I hate to end that on a sour note like that, but it did just come through, and I was like, well, JD has to talk about it.
And I just this is going to take me some time to process this, actually. Like, it's one of the great, I mean, like, he's one of the great baby boomer filmmakers, right? He's up there with like Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg as far as like
Yeah,
having just a cultural impact, and one of just from a generation of pro TV actors who was able to successfully transition into filmmaking. The he's Carl Reiner's kid. Like, you're talking about
yeah.
Hollywood royalty. Like, fuck, man, this is it's a shame, dude. Like, you sent me that text just before the show, and then Jeremy texted me the same thing just before the show. I'm like, I can't think about this right now. Like, I gotta focus on bitching about WWE. I gotta be funny. Like, I just
Yeah.
God damn, man. I can't get over the fact, like, there's something that's so tragic about living long. Like, this man was damn near 80 years old, and like homicide. Like, it just goes to show you, man, that tomorrow is promised to no one, and like
Mm-hmm.
to live that life, and like, and it wasn't like your body said it's your time. Someone, I don't know the story, so I imagine as the days go on, we'll know more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll find out more, and I keep thinking of how the way Gene Hackman went out. We're like, just
yeah,
it took a few days before we got any like real details. So
right. And
it'd be
this
weird to
sounds
speculate on what happened right now.
worse. Like,
Yeah,
this sounds like probably a robbery or something like that. I imagine we'll learn
yeah,
more as the
yeah.
days go on. I mean,
Robbery, like homicide.
I hate to speculate, but I mean, just
Yeah, but before we go, I'm just gonna Google this really quick. Rob Reiner JFK podcast. Everybody should go check it out. He fucking named. It's called Who Killed JFK. He names the people who did it. So now again, Like I don't think it could hold up in court, but here it is. Who Killed JFK? The podcast. Good stuff. Him and Soledad O'Brien. She hosts it. They go really in depth on the whole controversy, which is obviously right down my alley. Rob Reiner was the last guy in the world I thought would be a JFK kind of conspiracy
Mhm.
theorist. Like if it was an Oliver Stone one, I was like, okay, it
Made
makes
total
sense.
sense.
Rob
Yeah.
Reiner, fucking meathead. I was like, I didn't think that it would be him, but it was him, and he did a great job with it. And he talks all the way through it and gives like all the details and all the different conspiracies and hits him at every angle, and then kind of like at the end, it's like here's who I think did it.
Wow. I have to listen to this now. You've given me some homework for
Yeah,
the week.
yeah, check
Man,
it
this is
out.
a
And
fucking shame. I'm gonna sit my kid down this week and we're gonna watch Stand by Me together. We
yeah,
haven't done
for
that
real.
yet.
I love Stand by Me. I love the original Spinal Tap.
Mhm.
Loved obviously the Princess Bride,
Right.
and he did a TV show on HBO called The Plumbers with
I never saw
Woody
that.
Harrelson. It's about the Watergate scandal. It's really good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Now I got to Google that. Hold on. HBO Watergate Woody Harrelson. So Woody Harrelson plays a E. Howard Hunt, who was one of the plumbers that was hired. Yeah, it's called White House Plumbers. He plays E. Howard Hunt, the former CIA agent who was working with G. Gordon Liddy, the FBI agent, to concoct this whole deal to stop the leaks from happening within the organization. And then they go apeshit, they go haywire, and they concoct this whole plan to break in the DNC. And that's how Nixon, like, Nixon didn't really know anything about that plan, but
Mhm.
he tried to cover it up, and that's what got him, jammed up. But it's a really, really good one.
That's so quaint. Like it was a shitty break into a hotel looking for some fucking files. Like that's so like
Yeah.
lame in comparison to all this shit we've experienced over the last couple decades. It's just
Well, that's why
unreal.
that's okay. Richard Nixon's a piece of shit, right? We can all agree.
Yeah, we can all
He was
agree
an
on that.
asshole, right? But at the time, he was one of our most popular presidents ever. Like as far as like he won his reelection in a fucking landslide, and
Well,
the
to be fair, the
former
top contender was murdered. Like,
yes, yes, but so he's one of the most popular presidents we ever have. At that point, he wins in a landslide. After he wins his reelection, his vice president all of a sudden he gets jammed up on some charges. He's out. So the guy that they replace him with is Gerald Ford, who was on the fucking Warren
Warren
Commission, right?
Commission guy.
Warren
Mhm.
Commission, and then E. Howard Hunt and G. Gordon Liddy are on this team, right? E. Howard Hunt is a guy that people thought killed JFK. so he's on this team. They do all these crazy things. They send some Cuban guys who were part of the Bay of Pigs invasion, right? Like into the DNC. And then who's the one that snitched out Nixon? The
Mark Felt.
former fucking assistant director of the FBI. That's the guy that like, and he gives the information to a former Army intelligence officer who literally just left the Army and all of a sudden landed this big gig with the Washington Post. Never a journalist before. You guys want to talk about a fucking conspiracy? I think Nixon's got a case.
It's crazy. Like when you really dig into Watergate, it's such a stupid conspiracy too. But you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's so. And you look back on it, you're like, those books were cooked, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's a wild story. And then because Ford's the only man who was never elected president.
Yes. Yeah, and he did them like the deep state a solid by doing the Warren Commission when he didn't want to do it. He went in there, they rigged the whole thing with fucking Alan Dulles, right? The guy that JFK fired as a CIA director is heading the Warren Commission. They bring in Gerald Ford, and then they essentially do a soft coup. They get rid of Nixon. They get rid of his vice president, and then they put in Gerald Ford, who is like an implant. So I'm just saying,
dude,
it's something to look into.
Ford was not elected as a vice president or a president, was the president. Like, it's hard not to look at the whole thing, how Watergate shakes down in relation to the Warren. Mike's the conspiracy guy. I'm not the conspiracy guy. It is impossible to not look at the ascendancy of Gerald Ford and Watergate and be like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy because the Watergate scandal was really nothing. Like in the grand scheme of things, you're stealing DNC secrets. Who gives a fuck? Like it's so we're talking about like coming out of the 60s. You're talking about the Bay of Pigs, Vietnam, like all kinds of like the Kennedy assassination, like
the Gulf
real
of Tonkin.
shit. Yeah, the Gulf of Tonkin. You're talking about real stuff, and Nixon has to leave in shame because he tried to cover up a fucking break into a cheap shit hotel to steal some fucking papers that meant nothing. It's so wild. Like it's one of the dumbest. And I laugh because you look back at all the crazy shit that every single president since Nixon, and I'm not a Nixon guy, don't get me wrong, but everyone since him has gone through, and you're like, that's what got rid of Nixon? It's like when you really read about it, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. And leave everybody on this. When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, what a great movie. The best romantic comedy. Every romantic comedy since then has been aping When Harry Met Sally. And it's far better than them.
If you think like my wife and I watched that on Valentine's Day years ago, and she had never seen the movie, and I was like, no, you have to watch this. It's the greatest like romantic comedy of all time. And afterwards she was like, yeah, that's the greatest one that I think I've ever seen. It's fantastic. All right, guys, we're gonna get off here. That's gonna do it for us this week. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. Ain't made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. Ain't made no rain from...
That was fun.